Samsung Electronics Company. Samsung is a company which most people are using one of their gadgets which it has produced. And most people don't know the story of Samsung and how Samsung was able to become so dominant in the market today and why most people are using the Samsung products like the refrigerator being a Samsung fridge or a Samsung phone or a Samsung microwave or a Samsung TV. Most of the equipments which we use or someone uses a Samsung equipment and also it has been able to diversify its products into many parts of the market and also it's the leading and also most dominant product in the market right now. So I'll be telling you the story of Samsung and how it was able to be what company which we know today and some of the things and also one of the visions which Samsung was not for it to be what we know today as an electronics company, but it started as a grocery store which was selling goods like the noodle goods. And today we have electronics and also different varieties of products which the Samsung produces and also has in is able to manufacture. I'll be telling you also the meaning of the Samsung company, which most of the people might not know the meaning of the name of the Samsung group. And today's story is all going to be about Samsung and how it was able to develop over the past few years. So Samsung was a company which was started in Korea by a person and also a little boy called Lee Byung-chul. And during this time, which he was also in about this person's story was in during the time of 1910. And during 1910 in Korea, there was a civil war. And also during this time, there was war which was going on between Koreans and also Japanese. And also Japanese wanted to invade the country and also the city of Korea and wanted to have it and also annex it as one of its own. And during this time is when this boy was born, and he was born in a rich family, and this rich family was well off but not so rich, but was in a hierarchy in that particular society where the family was privileged into if it can be one of the lineages which can be able to partake leadership during that particular country. So it was a privileged family, and also it was a family which was honorable. And this boy grew up and also went to high school in that particular country. And later on, he went to Japan to pursue his particular course and also pursue his further education into secondary in Japan. And after going to Japan, he wasn't able to finish his Japan course. That's when he was able to come back to Korea. And after coming back to Korea, during that time also there were so many challenges which were going through, and that's when he decided now to open a company, which will be a company which will lead him into production of also grocery items. And this company he named it as a Samsung Trading Company. And Samsung is basically in Korean and also basically means three stars. This is the meaning of the name of Samsung. It means three stars. And after starting the particular company of Samsung, he was able now to deal with grocery. And his main grocery, which he used to sell, was noodles. And noodles was a very profitable business, which led him to to export products into China. And China was the leading and also wanted the noodles which were coming out from Korea and were mainly being exported by this Samsung Trading Company by Lee Byung-chul. And Lee Byung-chul was later on, after his successes in his business, he later on wanted to open up his store into another particular type of location, which was a high-end location, which also will have a lot of income to him. So after going to that particular location, which he saw and also had a dream about it, he didn't even last for more than 2 years. He closed that store and relocated to another store because during that period and also that town where he opened that store, there was the Korean People's Army which had invaded that place, and that was their main town for the operation. And during this time was the Korean War, and that's when now Lee Byung-chul decided to go to another particular location where this location will be able to open a sugar refinery company where it will be able to refine sugar. And this business was very profitable and also led him to open other business ventures and also acquire other businesses later on in the years. And one thing, when he opened this refinery, sugar refinery, he was able to partner up with somebody, and this person was able later on in the years, because of the differences, is the one which led into the Samsung company to be separated into three other groups. One group was Hancooks, the other group was Samsung, and the other group, I don't know its name very well, but it was separated into three groups. And after being separated, now the leader and also this Lee Byung-chul now decided to also acquire other companies, because during that time the Korean government was favoring industrialization and was favoring companies which were inside their location, and this also boosted their morals and also boosted companies which were owned by Korean people inside that government, because they were giving them loans and they were first hand into being able to be prioritized before others. And that's when now the businesses and also were started to boom. And what this is one thing which also favored them, because it was luck during all these years. It was good fortune for them all of these years, because nothing was just against their ways, because it also was going everything was going so smooth from the beginning of time. And that's when later on in the 1960s they decided to produce TV sets and also other electronics equipments, and also to venture in this business. And before that, they had already acquired three banks in South Korea, and they had acquired insurance company, they had acquired cement refinery companies in South Korea. So they were a very profitable company, the Samsung company. And that's when now they decided to partner up with Sanyo, which was a leading producer of TV sets. I don't know if you remember or you have used a TV called Sanyo. This they had partnered up with the Samsung Group company and to produce TV sets and also TV which were black and white and also colored TV. So they had partnered up with Sanyo to produce black and white TVs and also color TV. And one thing about them, and also which led to their which was on a favor to them, is because they had a 50% market and also 50% market into the semiconductors during that time in the whole area of Korea. So producing those TV sets was also cheap for them, and it was also favorable for them. And one thing which the Korean people liked, they liked what the Samsung TVs which were produced, other than the Japanese TVs which were being produced. The Koreans preferred the Korean TVs which were the Samsung, and this also led to Samsung being also more profitable, and also its brand being known more than the other brands. And one thing that the Samsung also had to deal with was producing air conditioning and also producing other products like the refrigerators and also other products which also are seem to be electronics. So later on in the years after these businesses, the Samsung company was becoming more and more even profitable. I don't know if you remember that time. Also, Samsung was producing TV sets which were black and white. These were the first people which saw the opportunity in the market. So later on, the Federation of South Korea gave the chairman of that particular Federation of Industrialization in South Korea. They gave that particular seat to the Samsung head, which was Lee Byung-chul, and gave him the particular seat to head the industrialization companies in Korea. And during that time, also favored himself. He made rules which will also favor the industrialization of Korea and also of his companies. And during this time, he had also companies which were producing and also making ships. So he had a big company. He had oil refinery companies. He had so many companies which he had invested in. So later on in the year of 1977 is when he was ailing and he became sick and he died of natural death, which he died because of old age. And this particular company, he left it to his son, and he left it to his that son, which he was grooming up for this particular role. And his that son, the next following year, is when he decided to start a company which was producing mobile phones in 1978. It's when now the venture of mobile phones now started becoming a bloom and they started focusing on it. So in 1970, 1985, 1985 over there is when now Samsung now decided to fully focus into the production of mobile phones, because they saw that the other businesses which they had, they were not bringing up for them the profit which they had expected. So they decided to close other businesses. And during this time which the Samsung company was starting up, they had minimal chances of being a leading company, and it is just pure luck and sheer will of the Samsung company, because during that time Motorola company was over there and it was owning more than the 90% shares of what was being produced in Korea. So the other company was Samsung, which was having 10% share, and this was very little share for them. But by just focusing on producing electronics and leaving other products which were remaining on their shelves for a longer period of time, they decided to venture on into the more profitable business, which was the phone production business. And they started by producing motherboards and also some components of the phones. And now that's when now they started producing phones fully. Now they started giving companies like Motorola competition, and other companies like the Sony, the LG, and more companies which were trying to make it in the market during this time. And most of the companies failed into making into the company because they lacked something which Samsung had, and that thing was Samsung decided to leave other things just to focus on the production of phones and also the production of electronics, because it was a more profitable business to them. Just you can just imagine Samsung had started in producing so many other goods like sugar refinery and also goods like grocery. They decided to put all that what they were producing aside, what they built for more than 40 years, just to produce on something which had no future. So they decided to just focus on the production of phones, and that's when now things started becoming smooth for them. They started dominating the market. So later on in the year of 2000 and later on in 2010, they started overtaking Sony company in production of phones, and also companies like LG, they were not able to dominate the market because Samsung had already dominated the market. And during that time, also Samsung were making mobile phones which were keypads mobile phones. And also during that time, the company which was mainly dealing with keypads was the Nokia company. But later on, Samsung was able to produce more advanced and more quality products than what Nokia was producing. And also the Android system later on brought a future for them. But before the Android system was produced later on in 2010, the second child of the owner and also the company owner of the company of Samsung died, and he left it to his son. And now that's now when his son is also the current CEO of Samsung company and is the one which is heading the Samsung company. So Samsung company later on in 2010, it was able now to advance even more and also producing some other type of technologies which we haven't, which were never seen before in the market, like the curved glass phones which were produced like the Samsung S. And Samsung S was preceded by a phone called the Samsung Note, and the Samsung Note is the one which now brought into the next generation of the Samsung S9, S10. And now the Samsung Note was something which many people are not seeing, and also this made the Samsung phone more publicized because of its Gorilla Glass and also its look of the curved phone. And this made Samsung phones being sought out and also being deemed as a high-end products for high-end people and also quality products. And that's why the main reason why Samsung was able now to dominate the market of Android and also become the leading producer and also the leading market producer of Android phones, other than the other phones like what we have today, like Oppo, like the other Android phones like Infinix, like Tecno. Samsung is able to dominate them and compete with the likes of the iPhone members. And now Apple, after Samsung being able to innovate the Gorilla Glass and also inventions like the double-sided phone which we have today, like the phone which you can fold, which is the Z Fold, and also other equipments like the electronics equipments like refrigerators, TVs, and also the curved glass TV of the Samsung. This has also led the Samsung to be more adventurous and also more industrialized into the making of these particular phones and also these particular electronics. And later on, during the 2017, is when now a new president came in and vowed that he won't tolerate people and also companies which were left behind by business empires and also by their family members also to run Japan and also to be a company which is basically for Japan. This is what the president of Japan vowed. And that's when now he had a war with the leader and also the current son of the current CEO of Samsung, and also made the current CEO of Samsung to go into court, which later on which led him to vow that he would leave that Samsung company to his children. And although Samsung is having a lot of difficult times, and one of them is because some of their products are deemed to be slow after being used for a long time. The products run slow on their speed, and after running slow on their speed, the phone still communicates and also shows data which the phone false data that the phone is running at the normal speed rates, but the phone apps are running slow. And this is one of the things which has led Samsung to be doubted by many people because of what the products are becoming slow and some of the tricks which Samsung uses. Although what we see about Samsung is able to produce products which we have never seen or never thought to be produced, like the curved phones and also the phones which can be able to be flipped. And this was in the generation Samsung was able to produce a flippable phone, and these are some of the inventions which has led to Samsung being deemed as a great company of producing phones. And one of the things which Samsung produces is also the quality products. And this is the story of Samsung. I hope you like this story, and also I hope you are knowledgeable about the company of Samsung and how it was able to become what it is today, the big company we know of today. So if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And please let's watch out for the next video which will be coming out next time. And I say thank you till we meet next time.